Welcome, Channel 63 viewers, to BallenIsles Art Expo 2015. I am surrounded by magnificent art. Welcome to the show. Roman Kadron, I'm delighted to be able to share your beautiful sunset at the seaside. Tell me a little about this beautiful painting.
Well, I paint in several things, mostly landscapes or still lifes, a few portraits now and then. I paint fruits, I paint flowers, I paint cheerful things.
Good, good.
So obviously sunset at the Juno Beach is an inspiration. Actually, we don't get sunsets at Juno Beach, we get sunrises. And I painted the sunrise too, but this is not it. So, and we were in Naples, and there were sunsets on the other side.
Right.
So I thought about an idea of painting one too.
Right. Well, tell me, this particular sunset, it is in oil?
Oil, yes, I should mention. That is oil painting, and the technique, as you can see, is traditional. I try to do some precision in order so a viewer can see it both from distance and from close-up. And it's thinly painted. I don't paint thick. Of course, there are many paintings right around here, the people who paint thickly, but the traditional technique is to paint thinly, and that's what I do, although it has quite a few layers of paint on top of it.
And you came to painting as an architect.
Yes, indeed. I studied and graduated architecture in Israel in the Technion, a prestigious institution. I practiced both in Israel and in United States. I switched professional, it's neither here or there for the purpose of this interview. I always liked drawing, and architecture requires the knowledge of drawing, but I also liked paintings, and I started full-time painting really when I retired. I retired 8 years ago, and I'm happy in BallenIsles to spend a lot of my time painting and listening to audiobooks at the same time.
Perfect, perfect. Sounds like great therapy as well as inspirational.
It's a pleasure, yes.
So as an architect, though, as I think about the detail involved in that kind of professional pursuit, this art expression is almost a sweeping, almost a freedom for you to have something on a canvas this bold.
That's true, and to some degree it's not a typical. I range from very precise paintings to this kind of free, as you properly said it. It has more freedom than my typical painting.
Right. And you have another painting in this show, Tulips in a Jar.
Indeed, yes.
And so would you say that those are a little more precise by comparison to
Yes, and it's more representative of the kind of painting that I would do patiently and accurately. And yes, that the other painting is more representative of my style.
But I am taken with the boldness of color in your paintings.
Thank you. I very much appreciate every compliment, because I consider myself at the end of the day only an amateur painter, but when I hear some good words, it encourages me.
Would you say that you enjoy doing bold colors as opposed to pastel? For the most part?
No, colors, I do bold colors also in my more precise paintings. I mean, if you look, you mentioned the tulips, the colors are also bright.
Yes, they are.
Most of my paintings have bright colors, that's for sure. No, I don't do mute pastel paintings. Yeah.
And tell me, how did you get to oil? I mean, did you just begin doing oil painting? Did you start with watercolor? How did you get into this?
Excellent question. I had a friend who painted in oils, and he encouraged me to start painting oil, because I was doing watercolors. When I was drawing, I was using watercolors, and I was not satisfied with the watercolors. I wanted something more substantial. And that friend who was painting oils, he was painting a lot of flowers, very quick, an accomplished painter. He said, "Why don't you try?" And I started.
I see. Tell me, how long would this piece take you to paint?
Well, in hours, because if I say days, it wouldn't mean it. One day I paint 2 hours.
Right.
One day I paint. I never would paint more than 4 hours. 4 hours is a lot.
At a sitting.
Yeah, at one sitting. But in general, I would paint for 2-3 hours. And a painting like this would take me 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes.
And the tulips?
The tulips, same thing. Right. It's a different type.
Even though it's
because
smaller.
I have to step away and look at this and see what is wrong. And sometimes I redo some things. I change colors. I change the composition a little bit. I tweak it, and eventually, when I'm satisfied, and I can tell you when I am satisfied, because my objective is to please the eye of the viewer. And when I think it will be pleasing for somebody else, I'm satisfied.
Right. Have you ever painted figures? Have you
Yes.
thought about portraiture?
Yes, of course. I displayed several years ago a portrait of a lady who lives in BallenIsles. I took her photograph. Dora is her name, and people recognized it. I did a self-portrait, which I never displayed, and I have the ambition of painting my wife's portrait for the next show.
Wonderful.
She's an artist, of course, in her own right.
We know that, absolutely. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
I know you will agree with me that we are very fortunate to be in a community with such magnificent talent. Hope you enjoyed the show.